Holy cow. Jonathan!
There's two problems that occur here.
Look at this. Mini carpet.
I had gotten corals similar algae from a customer. This char mark is from a bad connection.
It's been extremely cold in the Northeast, with temperatures reaching as low as -3 degrees. The cold weather is not only causing issues on the roadways, but it's also been creating some issues at Polo Reef. While the team tries to stay warm, today they'll be tending to some heating emergencies, doing some routine maintenance, and beautifying one of Andrew's favorite tanks. Before they can get to their routine maintenance, as they arrive, they're immediately greeted by Andrew in the morning with an emergency at the pond.
Holy cow. See the temperature of the pond? It's cold out, but not that cold. Jonathan!
What's up, Andrew?
Pond temp.
What's wrong with pond temp?
It's a couple degrees below the set point.
Oh, let me go check it out.
Polo Pond is home to some of Andrew's championship koi. These beauties are not only great to look at, but they're extremely expensive and sensitive. Andrew and the Polo team work diligently to keep them happy, so one slip up could spell disaster for their health. John heads out to the pond to check to see what the issue is.
There's two problems that occurred here. One, they used clear PEX tubing here that wasn't covered, so it grew algae in it, and then it got clogged in the strainer. The flow meter became damaged from that. Also, it didn't run for 2 years and it sat with water in it, so it built up rust, because from just sitting like that, which the rust also clogged the flow meter. So it thought it had no flow when the pump was running, so it wouldn't turn on.
After finding the issue, he heads back inside to let Andrew know what's going on.
Hey Andrew, I was just out at the pond and it looks like one of the 3 boilers isn't working. I'm gonna grab some tools and go out there and see if I can't fix it before it gets colder.
Okay.
We can get it repaired.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. Save my koi! Good luck.
Thank you.
Breeze outside.
John heads back outside to tackle the issue with Yeltsin. The repair itself shouldn't be too difficult, but he's also going to check everything else while he's out there. Even in freezing temperatures, John, he's always thorough.
Installed a new part into the boiler. It seems to be functioning way better now. We're gonna let it run for 2 or 3 hours and come back at it again and check it. We're going to adjust the pond temperature down from 70 degrees to 62, and we're also gonna discontinue feeding the fish for about 4 weeks. This will help with them reabsorbing eggs as they have to exert energy. Also help supposedly with their color for show season. So this is the longest it's run, so that was definitely the problem. Hey, look how long it's running. That was definitely the problem.
After replacing the part, they're ready to wrap up the repair and head inside to warm up. Back inside, John meets up with Joe, and they immediately begin their busy maintenance day with a large project. The 80-gallon tank at Polo Reef is one of Andrew's favorite and most versatile tanks. Over the past few months, the tank has been hit with some algae blooms, and today, the team is ready to give it a deep clean with some good old-fashioned elbow grease.
Look at this.
No.
Mini carpet.
While they're scrubbing the rocks, they quickly realize this is going to be a much deeper clean, so they come up with a plan of attack.
Before you settle the rock up, why don't you want to pull the rock out, let it settle for 5 minutes, we'll fill a garbage can, and siphon out the sludge from the bottom and do like a decent-sized water change?
Algae, it's a common thing in most reef systems, but every reef keeper handles it differently.
To remove the bulk of the algae, with doing this, it's still going to come back, but I'm hoping that maybe then the cleanup crew in there will do something.
I had gotten corals similar algae from a customer, and I put them in a tank with 2 sea hares, and in not even 24 hours, it was 80% gone.
Leave a comment down below of your favorite go-to method for removing algae. We would love to hear what everyone does at home. After the team is done scrubbing the rocks, doing a large water change, and sucking up most of the algae, they put the newly cleaned rockscape back into the tank and wait for it to settle down. Since the Polo team never sits still, John takes on another task right away, and this one involves a 17,000-gallon tank and a new dosing pump.
Today we're going to be changing the dose quiet drive on the 17K. It doses alkalinity component 1 and component 2 calcium from ESV. We dose about 4,000 mils of alkalinity a day and 1,500 mils of calcium. You know, we're going to change it out of just maintenance, so that, you know, out of caution, because we are using so much, if we don't want there to be a problem and have a breakdown. So we're just a little preventative maintenance today so that this is functioning properly.
The Polo team is always thinking ahead, and they never just throw equipment away. Not on John's watch.
We're going to take the old dose back, take the old dose and have it maintenance. We'll replace the head, check, make sure everything's functioning properly so that we have it as a spare for the future. Now we have to configure the new dose in the software. We're going to prime each line again, and once we're sure we get all the air out, we're going to run a calibration so we make sure it's dosing the proper amount of mils from each calcium and alkalinity component.
This is a super important step. Too much or too little dosing could really harm this tank. So how does he do it? Well, here he is to explain.
The new one's here. The old one we're going to remove now. Now we're going to switch them to on, which overrides all the programming, and that's going to prime the lines.
Next, he heads to the tank for the calibration process.
I have to wait for it to come over to here, and once I get a steady amount of drops with no air pockets in between, for 2 minutes it'll fill this. Now we take this number and we input it into the computer.
With the dosing pump finally dialed in and programmed, the team can rest easy. Well, not quite. Back in the lab, while John worked on the pump, Andrew popped in to help complete the 80-gallon restructure. And now he's focused on the lights with the help from Supermax.
All right, so we're just switching out some of the lights on the 80-gallon. Andrew wants a little bit of a more white look in the tank, so we're
A little warmer. That's
a little warmer look in the tank. So we're just switching back to some of the Radiant Pros.
With the help from Yeltsin, they work on swapping out the lights to achieve a more warm look.
much nicer.
Yeah.
You actually see more of the algae.
Yeah.
By now, you might know the Polo team is all about checks and balances. So Andrew immediately gets some par readings done to make sure the smaller reef will be happy.
Okay. It looks very similar
Yeah.
to the way you had it, right?
Yeah.
Go to the,
30, 120 over here.
where's it on the Gani? Like 120, 130, 140? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Maintenance, it's key in this hobby, and the 80-gallon tank goes to show that hard work pays off. Sometimes, tanks just need a reset. Andrew and the team put their stamp of approval on this beautiful tank and head right to their next task. Before they do, John heads to take a break outside and decides to get a bucket dislodged from the deep freeze while he's out there. John, he's always working, even on his break.
I'm trying to unfreeze the tub from the ground so we can bring it inside. Like melting the snow around it. We're probably just gonna freeze it to the ground more, but this is what the census was to get it unstuck.
With the bucket free and his fingertips frozen, he decides to head back inside to tackle the next task of the day, changing the media in the GFO reactors. So what exactly is a GFO reactor? GFO stands for granular ferric oxide. It's an iron-based media that's mainly used to remove phosphate from the water. In large reef systems like the 17,000-gallon tank, controlling phosphate is critical because high levels can slow coral growth and fuel unwanted algae. As water passes through the reactor, the GFO binds the phosphate and pulls it out of the system. But phosphate isn't the only thing it removes. Through regular ICP testing, Polo Reef has seen that this media can also absorb trace elements like vanadium and copper. That can be beneficial, especially if those levels start creeping up, but it also means you have to monitor the system closely so you don't strip out too much. The amount of GFO used depends on the size of the system. In smaller aquariums, it may only take a few cups, but on Polo Reef's 17,000-gallon tank, Andrew and the team are using between 80 and 100 pounds at a time. The media, it's changed every 4 weeks or based on testing. The team regularly checks reactor performance and compares readings to the 17,000-gallon tank. When the reactor stops making a difference, that's when it's time to replace it. It's just one piece of the filtration strategy here, but it plays a major role in keeping the water stable and corals healthy. Now that you know what a GFO reactor is, let's pop back in on Yeltsin and John as they begin their maintenance. It's usually a simple task, but today, nothing's coming easy. As they were draining the GFO reactor, it stopped flowing completely.
Oh, there's a big rock. We got to open it.
What started as an easy task has become a complete disassembly of the reactor. They have to take it apart to remove a large rock of GFO that formed in there. How did this happen? Well, here's John to explain.
So we changed the GFO today. We've been able to push it further since we've had everything else dialed in and the corals are growing so much. But by pushing it further, the GFO actually calcified in there and turned to a rock. We changed it because the levels were rising, but we also saw it was starting to solidify up top. So that was a new challenge that it presented today. So now we have to rinse it. You'll see the water come up and then you'll see this fluidize.
With the GFO reactor rinsed and filled up, it's finally running smoothly again. But the same can't be said for the lights on the 2,500-gallon tank. While John was downstairs, the team noticed that one of the lights on the 2,500-gallon tank wasn't working properly. So before he ends his day, he decides to pop upstairs to look it over.
I'm fixing another one of these Orphic lights. This one seems to be a little different than the usually solder points. So I'm trying to look at the circuit board while looking at the light. That's why it's like upside down like this.
They break the light down and waste no time looking at the wiring of the unit to find the culprit.
This char mark is from a bad connection, and we're going to remove the char, and I'm going to resolder this here.
After looking over the light for a few minutes, he quickly finds the issue.
The cause of this has started once we added the halides, because we had the Orphics for a while up there, and it's because the heat's billowing in this area, especially this time of year with less AC. That's why it seems to be failing more now. We're probably going to add some fans and stuff to circulate some of the air up there so that there's not so much heat
because it seems to be affecting the ones on the outside more.
Good thing, it's an easy fix. But the reason this happened, well, that can be blamed on the freezing temperatures. Who would have thought the deep freeze would have affected the inside of Polo Reef? Thank goodness, this was an easy fix. Yeltsin and John quickly reassemble the light. They get it mounted, and they're ready to call it a day.
So we resoldered some terminals and tested the light on the floor. It's all good. We put it back up on its position in the tank, added it to the group, and uploaded the program to it, and it all seems to be functioning fine.
It's been a very long day at Polo Reef so far, and the team, they kept warm inside despite the deep freeze. Before Polo Reef can actually shut down for the night, a team member has to run through the Polo Reef closing procedures. And tonight, it's Max's lucky night. Buckle in, it's a lot to remember.
Alright, so it's 5 o'clock at Polo Reef. I'm going to walk you guys through what it's like to close down the place on a day-to-day basis. So we just want to keep everything sanitary for everything we're doing, especially with Dr. Alex when he's doing dissections and all that, as well as it's just nice to work in a clean environment. Alright, so next we're going to get all the salt creep off all the tanks, all the stands, make it look nice in here in case Andrew has any guests later or decides to come look at his tanks. They are someone's tanks after all, so we want to make sure they look nice. Knock it all down to the floor before we mop it all up. Now for the most fun, brooming. Garbage time. So next we're gonna check our heaters, pumps, and wave makers, make sure it's all working properly. If you look here on the deep water, we have our chiller here, our wave makers here, both working, and then our thermometer and everything down here as well. So just making sure this is all working properly. For our quarantine tanks, on this side, we have heaters here, our wave makers here, as well as all our other control panels on this board. And then if you come onto this side, it's essentially just the same thing, but for these two tanks. So just gonna make sure everything's on. For our 280s over here, we're by Yeltsin's desk, as well as under the tank, we have some mirrors. We also want to make sure our doses are all topped off. Yes, we typically do that in the morning, but we're making sure everything's still good before we leave, making sure nothing overdosed and making sure they're all properly dosing. For our 300s and clam tank that are connected to 17K, we have wave makers and stuff all over the place. 2 of them are right here, so we're gonna make sure those are on. We have a Nero up here that's controlled right here. More Neros here, as well as some more MPs down here. MP40s, MP60s, and some L2s that help the pump on this side. Alright, now we'll check on some of the fish we have in quarantine, including our deep water fish over there, and some of the fish we're medicating in the lab as well. This tank, we have some of our deep water fish. We just want to make sure they're okay. We just want to especially make sure our Fenton's butterfly fish in here doesn't break through the barricades, because he can get eaten by our masked angel here, or by one of the nems over there. Here we just have some more deep water fish as well. The snails in the deep water tank are still quarantining, so we're just waiting on them to finish up, and then all these fish will go into there. So for the 900-gallon tank, we have our hydros on this side, a Nero down there, and an MP40 up here. All those are held down here. So we just squat down and check to make sure the pumps are working. So now the final check is the 17,000. We're gonna check the doser as well as all the pumps. So we just finished checking all the pumps and wave makers. Everything seems to be working good. Now we're gonna check all the levels and the sumps. To start with the 2,500-gallon sump, we have a little water level mark there. The water level's a little low, so I'm gonna top it off a little, but we'll go on to the next one. We have our 3 towers here. This is the most important one to check. This is our RO top off for our 2,500-gallon sump. We just want to make sure the water level stays above here so that we don't run out and the pump doesn't run dry. This is our 17,000-gallon. The water level's a little bit harder to tell, but I'll show you on the water monitor how we see that one. So this is our water level and our 17,000-gallon sump. It's exactly where we want it to be, sitting at right about 1840. We have our GFO runoff socks here. They're pretty clean right now, so we're gonna leave them as is. Our final sump is the 900 peppermint system. This is also connected to the anemone tank. We wanna make sure all the socks are good, as well as the water is at its water line. So now we're gonna look to make sure all the lights, pumps, and everything is working on the 2,500. Click on here to make sure our skimmer's all running. We have our closed loop pumps, as well as our main pump. For the final tank, we have our anemone tank. We're just gonna make sure all the nems are happy, make sure all the clownfish are happy, as well as we have to check behind here because sometimes fish will jump through, but it looks like we're all good today. All right, so now we're just gonna check on all the dosers, make sure all the alkalinity and calcium lines are good. We typically fill them in the morning, but we just want to make sure everything is good and will last us till tomorrow morning. So now we're just gonna shut off the lights and head up to check on the pond. So we just take a video of all the fish, catalog how they look. We send that into the group chat as we clock out as the last person. But other than that, everyone looks good. I don't see any lesions on any of the fish. No one seems to be swimming towards the bottom. Now we're gonna head into here, check on the first filter and all of the filtration. We just check on our pumps here and here, as well as our heater here. And then we'll just do a quick look through of the filter, make sure our RO top off is dripping, as well as everything else is working. You can check to see if this is working by doing a manual clean. Now we're gonna go check on the 2 outside heaters out there. Both sides seem to be in use and have good flow. So everything seems to be working good. Everything's running, all the fish look happy. So that's it. Everyone stay warm and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
It's been a busy day at Polo Reef chasing perfection. The team is exhausted and ready for some rest. The day at Polo Reef started in the cold, and it ends the same way. From the early morning alert at the pond, tank resets, and solving unexpected issues, the day kept on coming. The deep freeze tested every part of the system and the team behind it. But that's what Polo Reef is all about, staying ahead, solving problems, and never leaving anything to chance. Tonight, as the team finishes their closing checks, the systems are stable, the fish are safe, and the reef keeps running. But with weather like this, tomorrow could bring a whole new set of challenges. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay updated on everything Polo Reef. Until next time.